they've been through certain situations in life. That one person may come out on top and say, I'm appreciative of it. The other one person may come out and say, I'm treating everybody like they treated me. So we just got to understand that we can't put everyone in a box and try to make them out to be something that they're really not at the moment.
Yeah, and we have to get off the internet. Okay, everything that you see on the internet is not real life.
No, it's not. What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets REACT, and we're back with another video. Who we got today, C?
Today we're back with another reaction. So excited about this video. If you're new to us
and we're new to you,
make sure you scroll down,
hit that subscribe button,
and turn on the post notification bell.
Because we're on the road to 200K.
And we cannot get there without you guys, all right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
Let's get it.
Nigeria is a strange spot.
Nigeria?
Why I hate Nigeria.
Do we have any country you don't like?
Nigeria.
Pause. If you put a whole group of people that don't like something in one room, it sounds right.
Speak on it.
That's what I say.
On it.
That's all I gotta say. It just makes sense though, because it's no different from a list of tweets. Politicians all getting on the table talking bad about one thing that they want to see happen, and yeah, like anytime you put a group of people in a room together that don't like something, it looks right to the masses. I don't care what type of picture they're painting. Once that is out there and you have the right people in front of you that's down in it, oh yeah, it goes crazy. Crazy.
Yes, people fail to think for themselves.
And that's what they do exactly. They fail.
They fail.
I just wanted to say that, shout out to our Nigerians.
One thing which is negative about Nigerians, like you can never trust them 100%.
The truth I will tell you is that Nigeria is really a bad country.
If you live in Nigeria, if you are living with a Nigerian person, if you don't take that, it might be faster than you in anything at all you do. So that one alone I don't like about them.
In Ghana here, we think we are not safe with them.
Nigerians.
If you have been seeing my video before, you know that I'm a Nigerian. Today, I want to talk about the reason why many people all over the world have problem with Nigeria or Nigerians. Or let's say, why some people hate Nigeria.
The most visible black.
Let's assume that this is an African and these are 10 Africans. Then this will be 100 Africans. You see, if you close your eyes at any given moment and choose 100 Africans, 20 of them will be Nigerians. Yes, there are 54 countries in Africa, but many of these countries are as big as a single state in Nigeria. And this leads us to the very first reason why so many people hate Nigerians, and that is the population of Nigeria versus Africa or even black race. To explain what I mean by this, I will need a simple illustration. Let's say this is Mr. White. Mr. White is a white supremacist who believes that a white man is superior to a black man. So let's assume that Mr. White travels all across the world, and in his journey, he meets with some black people, and because he's a white supremacist, he has problem with a whole lot of black people. You guess what? 10 out of every 50 people Mr. White has problem with will be Nigerian. So what you find is that this guy is going to hear one name consistently other than any other names of the countries in Africa, and that name will be Nigeria. You have to remember this. What this tells us is, if there is any individual who has problem with black people, or let's say if there are people who naturally hate black people, such people will have to hate Nigerians. The reason is simple. If you have met 5 black people in your life, you have met 1 Nigerian. Now, let's talk about people who don't necessarily hate black people. You see, even if you are an African, as long as you go out every day to meet other Africans, you are much more likely to meet with a Nigerian than with any other black person from any other black nation in Africa. For example, you are 28 times more likely to meet with a Nigerian than to meet with, let's say, a Libyan. And you are 40 times more likely to meet with a Nigerian than to meet with, let's say, a Liberian. Now, the implication of this is, in your journey of life, even if you are a black person or you are an African, you have this higher tendency to meet with a Nigerian than to meet with any other human from the African continent. And don't forget this, people only have problem with the people they meet. So if you do not meet, for example, a Liberian, you will not have problem with a Liberian. And since you are very much likely to meet Nigerian, then you are very much likely to have problem with Nigerians. Then you are very likely to say, oh, I don't like Nigerians, or I hate Nigerians, depending on what issues both of you have together. But you see, there is another reason why anybody all over the world can hate Nigerians.
Okay, I feel like that's subjective. It depends on the person, which country they're in at any given moment, because I still have not met a Nigerian in person.
Whoa, you read my thoughts.
I have met a South African. I have met an Ethiopian. I have met a Ugandan, Liberian. It depends on the person. I mean, I understand what he's saying, but you know, they're the most Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa, but it's just subjective.
Yeah, I mean, he's giving them a big range of once in a lifetime. Well, not even once in a lifetime, like once every 5th person you will meet one.
Yeah.
And I've met a lot of people from Africa. I worked with a lot of people from Africa.
Yeah.
All of them was mad cool. None of them was Nigerian, though.
Yeah.
Nothing against Nigeria, but none of them was Nigerian.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that is almost like a blanket statement, you know?
It's just subjective to the person.
Yeah.
You know, and I know Nigerians are on every continent. I know that. I'm just saying it's just not true for everyone. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But again, I do agree with him saying, if you have a problem with a person, you know, like when people have a problem with a person, they'll try to group the whole group of people because of that one person's actions or a few people's actions.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah. That's that old cliche statement. They say that one apple got to suffer for the rest. Mm-hmm. Almost. And I don't agree with that at all, because I've met people, you know what I'm saying, in different groups that have had given me an issue with certain, you know, situations I may have had at that moment. And I walk past them, go to the next person, and not have the same situation, or on my part, I won't even think like that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where the problem comes. People have that they capture the moment and then they hold on to it, let it remain as a memory, and then they traumatize every next person they keep coming across because of one interaction they had that went wrong. Yeah. That's the problem we have in here, you know?
Yeah. Now, I've spoken to a lot of Nigerians online, good and bad experiences, but in person, that's not true for us.
Yeah, we just can't put everybody in the box. Yeah. And I think that's where we need to start to realize that people are different. They have different mindsets, different hearts, characters, personality traits. They've been through certain situations in life that one person may come out on top and say, I'm appreciative of it. The other one person may come out and say, I'm treating everybody like they treated me. Mm-hmm. So we just got to understand that we can't put everyone in a box and try to make them out to be something that they're really not at the moment.
Yeah, and we have to get off the internet. Okay, everything that you see on the internet is not real life.
No, it's not.
Another reason why a whole lot of people might have problem with Nigerians,
First of all,
or why some people might hate Nigerians, is that they are criminals in Nigeria. But you see, there is something most people don't understand about this. And that is, if you calculate the number of criminals per capita in Nigeria, you probably will not have more criminals in Nigeria than, say, Canada, United States, or Ghana. But you see, how any country of the world would be perceived in relation to crime and criminals living in that country is not necessarily by the number or by the effect of the crimes being committed in that country. Instead, it is usually by the nature of the criminals or the nature of the crime being committed in any given country. Now, let me try and explain what I mean. And to do this, I'm going to divide crime into three.
Okay.
You see, we have early morning crime, afternoon crime, and midnight crime. Midnight crimes are crimes that are committed in perfect secrecy. Crime of these natures are usually committed by people who are well trained for such crime, and because they have so much expertise in this field or in this crime they are committed, most of the times, most people in the world don't even know that they are criminals in the country where they are operating from. For example, this guy worked for United States for more than 1 decade. He worked for US government, companies in the US, and they specialize in helping those companies and the United States government to steal resources from the poorer nations of the world.
I was an economic hitman. And we economic hitmen have created a new global economy, really, a form of capitalism that I call predatory capitalism.
Now, the problem about criminals such as this guy is that they are so good in what they do. They were well trained for the work, that is the crime, they are committed so much that nobody in the world knows they are doing. Now, because nobody in the world knew what these guys were doing, then you will not say the country they are operating from is filled with criminals, because nobody know they are doing whatever they are doing.
And Claudine also told me that if the leaders of these countries refused my offer, people she called jackals would be right behind me.
Because these organized crime are so organized and are being run by people who are some of the best minds in the world.
All right, Paul, so with that comment that the gentleman just made on stage, that if he didn't do something, then he would have jackals on his tail. That's a different crime. I feel like when you're being pushed into doing it, blackmail almost, you have, little to no choice. Or you just go against the grand face of consequences, you toughen up and you beat it. Great movie. You know what I'm saying? Type of stuff. Yeah. But then how I was thinking about it was, when the world is almost full of crime and people not even realizing they're being criminals. Let's say, for instance, you work at a restaurant, right? And you're managing it or supervising it. And at the end of the night, you got to collect all the money. You got to bag it. And then you got to make sure it meets its location. Once it meets its location, because you worked for that company, that person is now benefiting from all the customers, and you don't know what they're doing with that money. They can be taking that money, funding it, flipping it, doing God knows what, but you don't know you're working as a criminal because it's not the information not hitting you, because they don't want you to know. Then you'll quit, and that's how I was just thinking about it.
But when it's on the government level,
exactly, you know what I'm saying? That's like you gotta fire at your feet type stuff.
It's like you signed up to do that.
Exactly. Okay.
In the countries where they are operating from will not hand the name for their crime. You will never see the headline talking about them because nobody knows they do what they are doing. That is why I call it midnight crime.
You can't see it.
So what you find out is that if there's a country of the world that has a whole lot of criminals, but those criminals are midnight criminals, it means you will not hate people of this country for the crime these guys are committed, because you probably don't know in the first place.
The EMC. call it?
Unlike midnight crimes, early morning crimes is possible to trace, but it is still very difficult. Think about drug trafficking. The number one problem you have with drug trafficking is that the guys at the top are very, very difficult to track. And even when you track them, most of the times you have no evidence of their crime. For example, this guy was a crazy and a bloody wealthy Italian drug and human trafficker in 1920s. But when America caught up with him in 1931, they found no evidence of his crime other than they have to charge him for tax evasion. What that means is you cannot call this guy a criminal. You cannot call him a drug trafficker. And you, as a newspaper or as media house, cannot pull out a news headline to say an Italian drug trafficker was sentenced because there was no evidence of his crime, which is the reason why I call it early morning crime. You can actually track it and trace it, but at the end of the day, when you catch up with the guys at the top of that crime, you still cannot, in most cases, you still may not be able to find evidence to show that these guys are criminals. Another example of what I call early morning crime is opium, which happen to be a major raw material for heroin. But at the same time, you can use this vegetable as medicine. Now, 80% of opium is being harvested and planted in Afghanistan. Now, what that means is there could be this guy who is planting acres and acres and acres of opium. And if you go to him to arrest him as a policeman, this guy can easily tell you, hey, I am planting this opium because I want to sell it to some pharmaceutical companies. Why, in truth, this guy is selling this dangerous vegetable to the guys that will process it as heroin. Now, you get the idea. There are so many crimes in the world that they are early morning crimes. And what that means is, even if you can trace them, it can still easily be disguised, which means if criminals in your countries specialize in such crime, you will not earn a lot of bad news or a lot of headlines attaching your country with that crime, because like most people in the world don't even know that there are crimes going on in your country.
Okay, I see what he did there.
The AC crime.
Unfortunately, most criminals that are known from my country happen to be internet fraudster. And the problem with internet fraud is that you can easily call it afternoon crime for a few reasons. Reason number one is the guys involved in this crime, they are not the smartest people in the world you can imagine. For example, when I was talking about the midnight crime, I'm talking about crimes that are being committed by people from CIA, crimes that are being committed by organized criminals, people who are some of the smartest guys in the world, people who know how to carry out crimes and how to cover up whatever traces behind them. Unfortunately, the criminals in my country are usually average guys on the street, which is the first reason why their crimes cannot be covered. The second reason is that these guys are doing something that anybody in the world can easily find evidence. For example, if anybody defraud you on the internet, you can easily show the world the emails, the chats, the receipts, the transfer, the communication, and everything. So we can track, we can trace, we can find out that, hey, this woman was defrauded of $100,000, and it happened because a guy from Nigeria did it.
Okay, well, you guys text back and forth a lot, right?
Yes, sir.
And he talks to you a lot. He says things like, baby, this is the love of your life. The only man who is always to make you happy.
We found out that my little scammer is in Lagos, in Nigeria.
He's sending the hard-earned dollars of poor Americans to Nigerian scammers. Somebody's got to get a hold of this guy.
2 Nigerian men were charged in a Singapore court today for suspected involvement in transnational internet love scams with victims in Singapore.
The way these Nigerian scammers send their fake checks is by recruiting unemployed Americans.
These scams seem to originate from Nigeria.
80 people in all were named in the indictment, but most of those are overseas in Nigeria.
The ultimate Nigerian scam.
Well, let me, before he go into deeper, I just want to make this quick mention real quick that with all 3 crimes, that's something important I feel like people need to hear. The first one was governmental, fire at your feet. You in a different type of ballpark. I don't know, nobody can save you. Right? The second 2 that he just talked about, I just feel like it just plays a real big part on the environmental when it comes to people and trust and being involved as people, as humans. You know what I'm saying? It kind of limits us to want to move forward. Like he's mentioning now, the lady who got her heart broken. Most people do go on the well to find love. You know what I'm saying? Most people go join these group things that they can say, hey, datemenow.com, and they want to find love.
See, most, you can't really say most.
I can't say most, but some people.
People. Yeah.
People
Not
do that.
everybody.
I feel like people is everybody.
Some.
There you go.
Not everybody.
Some people do that. But when you have all of these things in place, you got to understand what is it doing to us. It's kind of hurting us when it comes to trust. You know what I'm saying? It's limiting us because, for instance, social media, like people not going to go on social media and want to click on a link because, you know, it says, hey, if you join us now, you get this and we want to work with you. But it's a scammer the whole time. You know what I'm saying?
And an email.
Yeah, it just limits us to wanting to continue to go throughout these day-to-day phases of interactions.
Yeah, like we talked about us getting hacked before.
We actually got hacked.
If y'all go to our family channel, we got hacked. Our whole YouTube. Y'all know we have 4 channels.
Everything
all channels were connected.
Don't take me back.
We won't go back, baby, because we don't trust nobody. Especially after that. You send us a link in the email, baby, we're not clicking that.
No, sir.
No. But I feel like I understand what he's saying. Okay, so it's everyday people who's doing, you know, the online things, and I don't feel like that's just a Nigerian thing because our hackers were not Nigerians.
Nah.
We tracked that IP address down, baby. We was mad.
I think it was from the
that was from the States.
Yeah, that's from the States. I ain't gonna say it, but
got the address, got the pictures, got. Listen.
We was a plane right away.
Talking about private investigator.
Figured it out real quick. Hey, bro, we wanted our stuff back.
I put that law to work. Okay. Anyway, I feel like the average person would not say, just because they got hacked by a specific person, would not say that they're all that way. Like, especially, like, we're grown. We know we wouldn't want to be judged because of what somebody else did, you know. I see where he's going with this.
Yeah. So let's see what he said. What's going on with this one?
Guys like these are caught. You have negative headline about my country, which gives impression that there are more criminals in my country than there are in, let's say, Canada or United States. So far in this video, I've tried to share with you some of the reasons why a lot of people might have problems with Nigerians or Nigeria. One of them is the fact that Nigeria dominates the population of the black race, especially Africans. So if you come in contact with 5 people from the continent of Africa, you have met a Nigerian. So there is this higher tendency that you are going to have problem with a Nigerian than with anybody else from any other country of Africa, which is the number one reason why, you know, when you have conflict frequently with people from particular country, the name of that country keep on coming to your head, and you don't know that the reason why the name of that country keep coming to your head is because, well, that country is 20% of the entire continent. The second reason why a lot of people might have problem with Nigeria or Nigerian is because, yeah, like every other countries of the world, they are criminal in Nigeria. But the kind of crimes being committed in Nigeria is a little different from the kind of crimes that could be committed in, let's say, Russia. I mean, you wouldn't tell me that there are more criminals in Nigeria than you have in Russia. But you might not know Russia with crime because Most of the crimes being committed in Russia are organized, and you hardly can find evidence of those crimes. So there could not be headline about them attaching those crimes with the country. So unfortunately, the kind of crimes being committed in my country is a kind of crime you can easily trace, track, have evidence for. Then every other week you can have news headline talking about how a Nigerian defrauded somebody. You see, if you have problem with any of these things I've shared with you, you just have to remember that I am a Nigerian. I am probably saying this because I'm a Nigerian. Maybe this video is an attempt to paint my country in a positive light. So, thanks for watching.
Of course, man. Hey, make sure you guys go and support his channel. So, I'm going to pass it to you. I had a thought. It kind of flipped.
Okay. Yeah, you've been talking this whole video.
I feel like I have.
Might as well just hop on in there, right? I just wanted to hear the video in its entirety to really understand, you know, the topic was why Nigerians are the most hated black people in the world. So I just wanted to really grasp what he was saying. And I respect his plight to want to paint his country in a positive light.
Yeah.
We all want our country to be painted in a positive light. Y'all know we get on here talk about the good and bad sides of our country, but at the end of the day, because we are Americans, we try to show y'all that there are good Americans. You know, us.
Yeah.
You know,
fact.
Positive people. At the end of the day, as people, I think we all have a responsibility to be a positive representation of whatever country we're coming from. Like I said earlier, I have not personally met a Nigerian in person, but I frequently speak to Nigerians on a daily basis. Of course, I don't trust... Listen, I'm a person, I don't trust everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But what I have come to know about Nigerians is that Nigerians are passionate people. They're dedicated to whatever cause that they have in life. They are always striving to be the best that they can be. They love people.
Yeah. And I wouldn't want people to think that out of every 1 in the 5 groups of people that you may meet is a Nigerian, and that person is the one that's going to like mess your day up.
Right.
I just don't think that's...
We need to stop looking at people through the lens of whatever country they come from and just look at them as people. Yes, don't be ignorant to, you know, don't be so gullible and think that everybody is out to love you and everybody has a good heart. Everybody is coming from a good place. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is just give people a chance.
Yeah, I think the responsibility we have is to be accountable of our own actions and see how we paint the narrative of everyone else's experience whenever they come in touch with us. And just to remain positive in most cases. You can always operate out of love. You can always operate out of sanity, like understanding the situation before you judge or have a stereotype about what can possibly go wrong. Anyone who's operating off of wrongdoings as a first response is going to most likely get a wrong response out of a person. And yes, Nigeria is huge. A lot of beautiful people there. There's a lot of people there, like a lot. But you have to understand that in most cases, everyone isn't the average criminal. Everyone isn't your average scammer. Even in your own backyard, being from where we are from, we know the good and we know the bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can I say we hung with the good, with the bad?
We hung with everybody.
We hung with everybody. Like we knew what was going on. Yeah. And I always love to say there's two sides to a coin. You can't understand one without the other. People's reasons for doing things isn't because they love to do it. I can't speak for everybody. But there's more situations that people can't get out of and they have no choice. Right. So you gotta like really understand what's going on, dig deep into other people's understandings and cultures to see why they're where they at, why they doing what they're doing, what pushed them to that. Man, I really got stories, y'all, that can like I could say some stuff. But yeah.
And you have to understand you don't have to carry a stereotype. Just because a great amount of people may say that Nigerians are this, Nigerians are that. Just because you are a Nigerian, you don't have to walk with that. The fear of holding that stereotype. Be you.
100%.
That's it. There's stereotypes of us, but we are not what people... I don't care about stereotypes.
That's how you debunk them. You be yourself.
I'm me.
Like I said earlier, if I walk inside of a room and there's a whole bunch of people who has already painted their perspective about not liking me, me becoming a hateful person because of their actions is not my job. That's personal bubbles. And I ain't finna pop your idea of me because I want to be liked. I'm going to remain myself, go through, smile, you know, do whatever it is I got to do in that spot, and then I'm out. And I'm going to leave a great impression.
I like to prove people wrong.
That way, too.
Prove them wrong.
Yeah. That's it. That's all.
Yeah. That's it. All right, y'all. We hope you guys enjoyed this video with us. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you soon.
Peace.